You must have read and heard a lot about Zul'Qarnain, who is mentioned as present in the Quran. According to most scholars, he was a righteous and just king who passed through many lands. It is also written in various places that Zul'Qarnain was a prophet of Allah. However, there is another perspective that is often debated, which suggests that Zul'Qarnain was in fact an angel. Once Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, overheard someone being addressed as, "O Zul'Qarnain." In anger, Umar replied, "Is it not enough for you to use the names of the prophets for yourselves, that now you are calling each other with the names of angels?" Who was Zul'Qarnain in reality? Was he a king, an angel, or a prophet? How did he reach the territory of Gog and Magog, also known as Yajooj? Are Gog and Magog present in this world or in some other celestial realm? Are there portals from the skies that lead to other dimensions? And did Zul'Qarnain use these portals to reach the lands of Gog and Magog? Also, why did Ka'b ibn al-Ahbar mention that Zul'Qarnain tied his horse to a star? If you are ready to explore all these questions, let's begin then. In every era there are some Quranic verses that were difficult to understand. Surah Al-kahf is an intriguing and mysterious chapter because it contains elements that require in-depth research and study to comprehend. The mention of Zul'Qarnain in the Quran comes after the stories of Moses and Khizr in Surah Kahf. According to some interpretations, Zul'Qarnain is identified with Alexander the Great. Some believe that Zul'Qarnain was the same as Alexander the Great, who lived during the time of Isa, peace be upon him. But according to Ibn Kathir, Zul'Qarnain lived during the time of Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and Khizr was his counselor. Some peoples, after reading the stories mentioned in Surah Kahf, tend to dismiss them by scientific or logical explanations. Interestingly, these are the same individuals who believe in the possibility of characters like Thor or Doctor Strange traveling to other worlds through portals in the MCU, considering it as a reality achievable through science. However, when similar concepts are presented in the Quran, they immediately become skeptical and deny them. In this video I will attempt to explain the story of Zul'Qarnain mentioned in the Quran from a scientific perspective. Every detail mentioned in this video is based on thorough research and analysis. And we are not the ones simply claiming that Zul'Qarnain traveled through portals in the skies. Rather, even before us, Ka'b ibn al-Ahbar made the claim that Zul'Qarnain tied his horse to a star. Then Muawiyah, I had forbidden him from sharing this information, and Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, stated that Allah had granted the clouds the command to carry Zul'Qarnain wherever he wished. In Surah Kahf verses 83, 84 and 85, Allah stated, "They ask you, O Prophet, about Zul'Qarnain. Say, I will relate to you something of his narrative. Surely we established him in the land, and gave him the means to all things. So he traveled a course." In this verse the term sabab is mentioned. According to an Arabic dictionary, sabab refers to a rope used to climb date palm trees. Zayd bin Aslam interpreted it to mean reaching a very high place. In the Quran this term is used 5 times, with 4 instances referring to reaching the sky. By examining the meanings in the Quran, it can be understood that Zul'Qarnain traveled to the sky through a route. This image on your screen depicts the Milky Way as per modern scientific data captured by advanced telescopes. Now let's focus on verse number 86 of Surah Kahf, which says, "Until he reached the setting point of the sun, which appeared to him to be setting in a spring of murky water, where he found some people. We said, O Zul'Qarnain, either punish them or treat them kindly." Now let's delve into the fact that the sun does not actually set anywhere in the world. It only appears to set when observed from our perspective. To understand this, we need to explore the boundaries of the sun's movement. The answer to this is found in Surah Yaseen verse 38, where it states, "The sun travels for its fixed term." That is the design of the Almighty All-Knowing. In this verse it is clear that the sun travels towards its fixed term, which is mentioned in Surah Yaseen verse 38. This concept can be related to the idea of the sun's journey in the sky, which has been described in Surah Al-kahf as the place where the sun sets. In astronomy, this path is known as the solar apex, and it is plausible that Zul'Qarnain reached a location on this path where he observed the sun seemingly setting in a hot muddy spring of dark color. Here the dark-colored mud could be symbolic of a celestial object, possibly a black hole. It's worth noting that 1,400 years ago, there was no specific term for black hole in Arabic, so the description used in the verse could indeed refer to a black hole. Moreover, the mention of a black hole in this context aligns with the existence of a supermassive black hole that is found in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Then it is mentioned in there he found a nation. We said, O Zul'Qarnain, either you can punish them or treat them with kindness. Here the word punish is mentioned, and one might wonder why Allah presented this option to Zul'Qarnain. The reason is that these people were heading towards a black hole, which means the black hole was pulling their planet towards it. If they had fallen into the black hole, it would have led to a grave consequence for them. However, with Allah's help, Zul'Qarnain rescued them from that perilous situation. Afterwards, in verses 89, 90 and 91 it is mentioned, then he followed another way until he reached the point of the rising of the sun. He found it rising on a people for whom we had provided no coverings against the sun. This verse is about Zul'Qarnain's second journey, where he traveled in the opposite direction of his first journey. He arrived at a planet where the inhabitants were exposed to the intense radiation of a star, as that planet had no protective atmosphere like our Earth's atmosphere, which shields us from the sun's harmful radiation. This newly formed planet lacks such protection. This location in our galaxy might be the birthplace of stars. And it was a planet where there was perpetual daylight. Next it is mentioned, until he reached a point between the two barriers. He found near them a community who could hardly understand his speech. This refers to Zul'Qarnain's third journey, where the term Seddain is used, which denotes a barrier or obstruction. However, some mistakenly interpret it as a mountain. Now it is essential to understand why Seddain cannot refer to a mountain. So in Surah Yaseen verse number 9, also the same term Seddain is used to describe barriers placed before and behind a group of people, concealing the truth from them. So in this context, the term Seddain in Surah Al-kahf refers to a barrier, not a mountain. Zul'Qarnain encountered a community who were isolated between two barriers, hindering their understanding or communication. In astronomy, Seddain could represent a nebula, which is a cloud of gas and dust in space. Therefore, it is plausible that Zul'Qarnain encountered a planet situated between two nebulae, possibly the double helix nebula which exists in our universe. Afterward, in verse number 94 it is stated, they said, O Zul'Qarnain, indeed Gog and Magog are great corruptors in the land. So may we assign for you an expenditure that you might make between us and them a barrier. In this verse the term Seddain is used once again, and the people of that planet requested Zul'Qarnain to build a barrier to protect them from Gog and Magog. This ayat also contains the word al-ard, which means the land. But according to many Islamic scholars, al-ard can be used to refer to any place in the entire universe, not just our planet Earth. In verse number 96, it is mentioned in the following way, Bring me blocks of iron. Then both ends gaps were filled up. He ordered, Blow. When the iron became red hot, he said, Bring me molten copper to pour over it. This verse describes how the barrier was constructed. However, this barrier cannot be like a wall on the ground. Many scholars believe that during that time, advanced technology did not exist, so it would have been impossible to create such a barrier or an unseen wall. But Zul'Qarnain's wall was a great miracle from Allah. We know that in this world, creating a barrier that can contain such a large number of creatures on the other side is impossible. As mentioned in the Hadith, Magog and Magog are immensely numerous compared to the people of this world. Even today, with the use of satellites observing every corner of the earth, determining the existence of such a barrier would be a challenging task. Absolutely not. In this verse, the mention of creating the barrier is in fact a chemical process. Hot iron acts as a powerful catalyst, where a catalyst is a substance that facilitates chemical changes in other substances. The hot iron reacts with molten copper to produce methane and hydrogen gases, which are highly buoyant gases. These gases have very low force of attraction, allowing them to easily escape towards another planet, a phenomenon known as atmospheric escape in astrophysics. These gases form the barrier that Zul'Qarnain built around the realm of Gog and Magog, providing them protection and deliverance. It is possible that the barrier was designed in a way that prevented Gog and Magog from seeing the light of star. In a hadith it is mentioned that Gog and Magog dig the barrier daily, and when they are about to see the rays of the sun, their leader tells them to return, saying, We will continue the next day. Allah then restores the barrier to its original state. This hadith strengthens the idea that the barrier was made of gases, as a concrete or metal wall cannot stop the sun's rays or prevent such large numbers of Gog and Magog. The earth is heading every day to the planet of Gog and Magog, and when Allah permits they will break through the barrier and cause havoc on earth. Now finally let's mention the hadiths that strengthen the idea that Gog and Magog exist on another planet. In Tabarani it is reported that the last prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, that Gog and Magog are descendants of Adam, peace be upon him, and if they are left unchecked they would cause corruption in the world. They multiply in large numbers and leave devastation in their wake. Although some of these hadiths might have weak chains of narration, but no one has been able to conclusively refute them. Many other hadiths can also be found in books that support the notion that Gog and Magog are non-human creatures. I am not claiming that in this video the interpretation of these verses would necessarily be agreed upon by everyone. However, these discussions will surely aid us in looking at things from a new perspective. And just as today we believe in the existence of Bifrost and interdimensional portals, and science also suggests the possibility of such portals, the Quran has mentioned these portals in several places. The sky will be split open, becoming many gates. Meaning that the unseen world that is hidden from our eyes will be open and the veils of the unseen will be removed, revealing its gates. These gates are in reality the portals through which our souls will transcend beyond the seventh sky. However, those who do not have faith will not have these gates open for them.